an unbelievable mistake. You know, you cannot play basketball when you don't practice. I mean, that's a fundamental thing that everybody knows. We were playing really well 2 weeks ago. You know, you go on 14 days, players kept themselves in okay shape, but we practiced yesterday, guys. Some guys were dying. Then we get in a game against a really good team, a smart team, a well-coached team, and really run and can shoot. They start out and made their first 5 threes, and we missed our first 5. And, you know, we dug a big hole. I thought we had unbelievable character to battle back in there. And then even when we missed the free throws at the end, we got 2 stops down there. We got a lot of stops in the second half. We probably pressed too much the first half. It worked pretty well, but I think it tired us out, and they got through and got some layups. So the second half, we just played solid. Brahma's hurt. We're going to do an MRI tonight. You know, obviously we lose him. He's a key guy for us. Makes Marek have to play the whole game at center. I thought Allen and Quincy did a good job on the boards. You know, Buddy did what he can do. He got his shots finally and got us back in the game. Joe had a nightmare game, which is what happens sometimes, and he just couldn't do anything right. But I stuck with him because he's a veteran. Kadari struggled a little bit. He had 3 fouls. I didn't want to get him back in there. The game was going to be a 1-possession game. And Joe made the 2 threes at the end that we had to have. But our defense was better in the second half. They only had 33 points. But this is my fault. You know, we should never have played this game. We should have come back, practiced, played next week. Bryant couldn't really reschedule it. So 100% my fault. And the other thing, we had one player on the team test positive, and everybody takes 14 days because of one guy. He had practiced with our team, and nobody got COVID. Nobody. Gonzaga played today. They had 2 guys test positive. They took them out. They played the game. We're limiting our players' exposure. They're not near even themselves. They go to their own room. They don't spend time against each other. Even in practice when they play, they're only 8 or 10 minutes total next to each other. The only way we can get through this season, we're testing 3 times a week. That's the same as every day. And if somebody tests positive, that guy's going to have to be out, and we're going to contact trace everybody else and see that they're not near each other. Because if we're out every time one guy gets it, then you can't practice for 14 days. If you're playing Duke and anybody in our league, not Duke, anybody, Boston, it doesn't matter. If you're out 14 days and can't practice, you cannot play basketball. You cannot play. It's not a game. You can sit out 14 days. Football doesn't do that. We're showing that we're not near each other. And even the roommates go to their own room. They all have their own room and their own bathroom. We've talked to the county about this. I think they understand. I think it comes down to guys not getting this, transmitting this on a court or a field. Hasn't happened. And it didn't happen for us. We have absolute proof of that. And we need to figure this thing out soon. Because if you're playing 3 or 4 games and then you're out, 14 guys are out for 14 days during the season, you're going to miss 4 games or 5 that will not be made up because you can't. And then you're going to have to come back with 1 day of practice or 2 and play Duke, North Carolina. You can't do that. It's physically impossible. We know our players they're not going to hurt themselves going out there and play today, but they're going to be out of rhythm. They're not going to be able to do things that they can do. And we were fortunate. Marek had a really good game inside, really stepped it up, which you want a veteran guy to do. And Buddy made some, Quincy and Allen got on the boards, but our young centers were not ready for this game. They've got 5 guards out there most of the time, or 4 guards, and it's difficult for them in this game. They'll be better against bigger teams, but not in this game. But I thought we showed a lot of resilience. to fight back in this thing and get the lead. And then we missed a couple free throws and still got back and made stops. But again, our defense was better in the second half. We need these next few days to get back in rhythm. It's the worst I've ever seen Joe Girard play, and I'm confident that he won't play like that again. But we'll learn from this. I told the players it's unusual that you can actually win when you play that poorly, and usually you lose and have to learn the lesson the hard way. We're going to learn from this, but we did get a win out of it, and we're very fortunate. They're a good team. They're smart. They move the ball. They did what they had to do to win, and we just didn't do things that we need to do, and hopefully we'll learn. But we'll find out about Boeheim tonight, but that certainly hurts our team. The young guys are already in that position, but we'll see.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Again, a reminder to please use your raise your hand function, and also if you could please mute your microphone when you're not speaking, that would be great. Our first question will come from Eric Columbia.
Talk a little bit about the decision to go ahead with this game. Just for clarification, take me through the process of that decision. Is it ultimately your decision whether you guys would play a game like this or not?
No, the doctors and the trainers approved the game because the players worked out on their own, but it's not, so they were in shape. Make no mistake, we didn't ask a player to play that was out of shape. All right, but you're out of basketball rhythm, in shape, when you don't practice. And they're a tricky team because they match up out of their zone and then they go man out of their zone. Really tricky team. You'd much better off playing somebody that plays straight man to man or straight zone. They're a really tricky team. They press a little, they mix it up, but nobody on our team was going to get hurt by playing. They're in good condition, but we were not in basketball ready condition. Okay.
Our next question will be from Matthew Gutierrez.
Hey, Jim, thank you for your time. Just a question, if you could expand on Marek a little bit. I was curious if you had considered giving Jesse or Frank more run, or if you felt moving forward, Marek might be the better option at the 5.
We had to have the guy in the middle make plays. The way they guarded us, they were in a matchup and then they went man, and Marek is the only guy on our team that's really good in the middle of that zone on offense. So that was the main reason we played him. We don't really have somebody else in there. Robert can go in there. I wanted to go with Robert, but because Marek had to play the center and Quincy and Allen were playing well, doing what we needed them to do, I couldn't get Robert back in there. Robert can't play center. So Marek did a great job in there. He took away the lob pass. He did unbelievable stuff out there. I thought he was great. Marek was tremendous, and I think he can play better. But he was really good today. But again, I just think it's just not playing a tricky team to play against. They're a good team. They're good. Their big guys good. Their guards are all good. They got really good shooters. They're a good team. They're going to win a lot of games this year.
Our next question will be from Donna Ditota.
Yeah, hey, Jim, I was going to ask about who made the decision as well, but I'm curious about, so you were off all this time, and what did your Thursday practice look like?
We had a normal practice. We went through all the things because this team plays so many different things. We had to work against their press. We had to work against their man, their matchup. It was very difficult. And, we needed Joe to have a good game that would have solved some problems. If we got off to a better start, we wouldn't have pressed as much. Even though we got some turnovers on the press and it kind of helped us a little bit, we gave up too many points. We're not that good a pressing team. So we gave up too many points in the last 10 minutes of the first half. But again, they were moving it and shooting it well. Our defense was a little bit better in the second half. We guarded the shooter. We didn't let 30 shoot. We let him have 6 shots. He made 5 in the first half. We did a better job with him. We did a better job of containing the little kid. The little guy's really good. My Green gets in the lane. He makes plays. I told Marek on the last play, there was no reason you couldn't block that. He was right there. He's 5'10", but we got a lot to do. We got a lot of work to do. And the last 14 days of practice missing were just horrendous, just horrendous. We need practice. And again, on the decision the medical doctors make that they're healthy to play, I make the decision on whether it's smart to play the game. When you don't play for 14 days, it's not smart. It's not smart. And this is going to happen during the season if we don't get contact tracing down. We got the chips. We have the technology to show that we're not near each other. I'm near players. In the beginning, they made a ruling, a suggestion, CDC, and which I don't know how we should listen to their suggestions. And the NCAA backed it up that if your group, everybody in your group, coaches, players, if one guy tests positive, the whole group's out, tier 1. I have the chip. I am not near a player for more than 1 minute and 30 seconds the whole practice. The whole practice. So why, if I got it like I did, would the team not be able to practice? That makes no sense. Our managers wear masks and gloves and the chips. They're not near a player for 2 minutes. So if they get it, we're going to have to sit the whole team down. This makes no sense. And Gonzaga proves that today. They had 2 guys. They took the roommate and him out, and the rest of the players played. And again, we had 1 guy that practiced with our team for 2 days. No one else on the team got it. No one. And he's back at practice perfectly healthy.
So what was your understanding about the Gonzaga thing? Why was why was Gonzaga allowed to do what they did?
Obviously, they separate their players. They live separately. They keep them away from each other. And they knew that you don't get on the court, so they just played. It's foolish what we're doing. We're just saying one guy tests positive for this team. Oh, can't play. The whole team can't play. Almost impossible. Football had different guys, different times. They tested. It's this group, a couple guys close to them are out, and then they played the game. Tons of football teams had positive guys this year. Tons of them. And they played the games. If it's too many, then they didn't play. The Big Ten's got a good rule. 1 or 2 guys, they test the whole team. If the rest of the team is okay, they play. If 3 guys test positive, then they think that's a problem and they sit the whole team. But 1 guy or 2 guys, I mean, we've got to do something about this now or the season will be destroyed. Because if you have your team sit for 14 days and you can't practice, you can't play. You can't come off that and play Virginia, Duke, North Carolina. You can't play. You would need 7 or 8 days to even get close to being ready to play. So they're either going to have to get their arms around this, figure this out. I wear this thing every day. I wore it today. The chip keeps track of how close I am with every coach and every player. And we play in the ACC. Our players will have them. ACC players will have them. They'll know exactly how much time they were next to a player. So if a guy tests positive from a team we play, they look at the record and they'll say, well, he was next to Joe for 10 minutes. It's still not 15 or 20. And he was next to the rest of the players for 2 minutes. So we need to use the science and not make generalizations. This 14-day quarantine, and then all of a sudden they're now saying, well, maybe it's only 7 or 10. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But everyone that I know says, every doctor I've talked to, you're not getting this on the field. You're not. You're not. You get this in bars, you get this sitting at home, in a restaurant with people. That's how you get this. And we've got to figure this out or the season will be destroyed. Period. Period. If Gonzaga hadn't played today, I mean, they'd have to sit out 14 more days. They wouldn't be playing the next game. They got a big game coming up soon. But they did it smart. That's what we try to do. And the county executive has listened to us and understands that contact tracing, if players aren't next to each other, you have to remember that even our players that live together have their own room and their own bedroom. So we have instructed them, they go home, they go to their room, they use their bathroom. They don't sit together. We don't want them to even drive in this car together to practice, separate car, different cars, run down here. And when we're in the locker room, there's only 4 guys in the locker room at a time, 4. When we're on the court, there's 10 feet of spacing every time I talk to the team, 10 feet. 10 feet. So we're doing all these things and the players are doing all these things so we can have a season. And we've got to figure out how to do this.
Our next question will be from Stephen Bailey.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to ask you about the younger centers. We saw Frank for a little bit and Jesse for a little bit. I know you haven't practiced in 2 weeks, but if you don't have Boeheim, is one of those guys ahead? And, what do you want to see from them?
Anything. And just so you know, Stephen, this isn't football. If one of them doesn't play, you can write whatever you want. But the guys that play here are the guys that I think can help us. And if somebody's not playing, it's because I don't think he can help us. I don't give a shit what you or anybody else thinks or writes. The guys here that are ready to play are going to play. And the other guys are going to watch until I think they're ready to help us. I read all your stuff during football, okay?
Okay.
Our next question will be from Danny Emmerman.
I've been doing this for 45 years. I think I know who should be in the game and who shouldn't. With Boeheim going down right now, if he can't play, Marek starting at center, Quincy's at forward, Allen's at the other forward. That's our best team.
Okay.
For your information, Frank played 4 minutes. He was -10 today. He doesn't know what to do yet.
I wasn't implying that they should play.
Pardon?
I wasn't implying that they should play.
I know you're not. I know you're not right now. I always think ahead. It's a fault I have. But if they don't play the whole year, it's because I don't think they can help us.
Okay.
That's it. Right now, they can't. I'm hoping they can. They've shown some progress, some signs, but not enough. And if they'd have played today and Marek had played forward, we lost by 12 or 15 points.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's what happens here when somebody doesn't play. We would have won if he played. Well, no, we would have lost.
I wasn't implying that. I was.
No, I know, but that's what the
Yeah.
future, I
Yeah.
can see the future. I'm good at that shit.
Part of the reason I was asking is because you talked about what Marek could do offensively against his zone. So I didn't know how much of it was matchup based. And, I haven't seen the team at all before today.
It's both, it's that and what we see obviously in practice. There was never a doubt if we could have had an easier first game, which sometimes you have, the centers would have gotten some time. But as soon as this game started, this game was going to go to the wire or we were going to lose. In fact, we might not have gotten to the wire unless Marek played center. And, he's our best center. He knows what to do in there. He's the best defensive center. The problem with Marek is he's 10 times better on defense than they are. He knocks the ball away. He plays position, keeps them from getting where they need to go. So many things you don't see. And I thought for the most part, our guards were a little better. Joe got beat. The little guard, he's going to beat a lot of people in the lane. He's quick, he's tough. But we were better at the guard spot. We contested better in the second half. They're good against the zone. They're smart. They got really good shooters. And I think they made 9 threes the first half. Let me look at the stat sheet. They made 4 threes in the second half for 18. So again, our coverage was better. Our guards were better. forward did a better job of moving up and down on the wing so that we could guard the wing English corner shooter. So yeah, I mean, we need to get better, and we need to get our centers better. It's gonna be a couple weeks, but we need these next 2 weeks or so games and practice to get them better. It hurts them when we're not practicing for 14 days. That just kills them. Marek knows what he's doing. He understands. I mean, we could have worked with them on how to play back and off. They came up and the big kid gets a dunk. You know, you can't have that. And, you know, we've got to learn and they've got to learn. But right now, that's our best group. Kadari's better. He reached and got in foul trouble. And I was just going to go with Joe. I wasn't going to take Joe out because I know he can make a shot for us. If he hadn't made 2 shots at the end, then maybe it would have been a mistake. But, you know, I trust that he's going to make those shots, and he did. It's as bad as he can play. I don't think he'll play that poorly again this year, but we survived it. But we'll get Kadari going. I'd like to get Robert. He got good looks in the first half, but I had to play Marek at center. I just couldn't get him back in there. But hopefully we will be able to get Robert back in there and get some time and get the big guys some work. That's all we can do right now. Anything else?
Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, sorry. So, Jim, when did you realize that it wasn't smart to play this game, and did you try to reschedule it?
No, we didn't try. I foolishly thought we could. It was a mistake. I knew about after 10 or 12 minutes that we were already tired, and I didn't anticipate having to press, but the press really helped us. It kind of got us going, got us back in there, but then it broke down. I probably should have come out of it. That was a mistake. But you could tell we just didn't have our rhythm, and you know, we weren't ready. Nobody can go that long without playing basketball. It was really foolish. I'm proud the players overcame it, but it was a foolish call on my part. I make some.
Go to Mike Waters. Mike, we can't hear you.
Mike, you're muted.
Okay.
Saying Jim just answered my question already about Joe, so I'm good.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
thanks, Mike. Then we'll go to Mario Sacco.
Coach, mine's non-basketball related. It's the first time we talked to you since the Floyd Little news. What has he meant to you, and what does he mean to Syracuse University?
Oh, you can't describe it. Everything. Floyd's one of the great people I've known in my life since I've been here. You know, Floyd and Dave Bing stick out in my mind as not just great players, which they were, but just great people. Floyd Little's he's as good as it gets. It's hard to even talk about it because I remember walking down to Manley Fieldhouse to the football field behind freshman when he was a freshman. We didn't have cars back then. We didn't have bus line. Our players can't get anywhere now without cars or bus. I don't know how we did it. We walked to Manley every day for practice. So I finally got a car, and then I could take 10 players in my Thunderbird to practice. Didn't last too long, but I remember walking down there and watching this guy catch the ball and just go by everybody. It was like, holy cow. What? Because everybody's good coming in. You hear these stories about players, but you know, you hear this, you know, you hear about Pearl Washington, you don't believe it, but then you see it, you believe it. And that's the way Floyd was. He was just unbelievable. I always kidded him because I was a year ahead of him, but he's a year older than me. He took his time getting here. But, you know, watching him play that game, watching him play against Gale Sayers and then watching him against UCLA in there, he was a thrill to watch play. I mean, you just had to come to the football game to watch Floyd Little. And he came back here. I mean, there's just no better Syracuse guy. He's Syracuse through and through. just